All right, so in Learning Target 3, we are going to be given some variables in the lengths of our sides of our figures. And so we're going to have to set up some equations and to figure out perimeter and area. And sometimes that will leave us with an expression as an answer, and sometimes we'll actually be able to solve an equation and get an answer for that letter and then possibly plug it back in to get the length of that side that we're looking at. So for perimeter, that is the distance around the outside of a figure. Now, whether that's a nice rectangular fence or, most yards are not perfect polygons, not regular polygons, so they're going to be those irregular shapes a lot of times, so we might look at a few of those. Now, area, can't see it, sorry, it's hole punched. Area is the number of squares a figure encloses. And so, in other words, if I were to cut it up into squares, how many of those perfect squares does it enclose? Whether that's square feet, square meters, square inches, square yards, square miles, but it's in squares. So, first we're going to do some rectangles, and it says, what is the perimeter and area of this rectangle? So, I have an expression for one of my side lengths. Now, that means, because it's a rectangle, that same expression describes that side length as well. This side length is 10, which means that is also 10. Now I can do a couple of things. I can either add them all up and combine like terms. So I could write 4a plus 5 plus 10 plus 4a plus 5 plus 10. And I could add them all up that way. And I would get 8a plus 30 for my perimeter. You could use the distributive property and say 2 times 10 plus 2 times 4a plus 5, and I would get 20 plus 8a plus 10. So you notice I will get the same answer no matter what I do there. Now to find the area, I'm going to have to use the distributive property because remember, area is length times width. So if my area is if my area is 10 times 4a plus 5, I'm going to distribute that, and I will get 40a plus 50, and that is my area. Now it says, assuming a equals 10, find the perimeter and area of the rectangle in number 1. So I'm just going to go right to these. That means my perimeter is going to be 8 times 10, because that was where the a was, plus 30, so 80 plus 30, so my perimeter is 110, and they don't tell me if it's meters or anything like that, so I could just label it as units. For my area, I'm going to do the same thing. I get 400 plus 50, which is 450. And these are going to be square units because I need to know how many squares fit in there in order to do that. So whatever those units are, I just need them to know. And when I'm talking about a square, that would be 1 unit by 1 unit, if that helps. Kind of solidify that in your mind. Next one says the area is 90 square feet. What is the width? So here they're giving me the area. So I'm like, okay, area of a square or the rectangle rather, equals length times width. It just told me that the area is 90. So that means 9 times W gave me 90. So I can divide by 9 and get that W equals 10. In this case, they told me feet, so I'm going to assume feet. In my equation, there would be 90 equals 9 times W, knowing that I could have done 9W equals 90 as well. Over here, it's telling me the perimeter is 50 feet, and then it says, what is the length? Well, it's a rectangle, and I know that this is 10 feet. I don't know the length, though, so they're saying, what is the length? So perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, and that gives me my perimeter. So you might see it as 2L plus 2W equals 50. So when I solve that, I'm going to get 2L plus 20 equals 50. I'm going to subtract 20, divide by 2, and I will get that L equals 15. And once again, they told me feet, so I know that my answer is also going to be in feet. Down here we have the partner practice. I'm going to go ahead and I will do a couple more here on the partner practice. And then you can finish up partner practice on the back. It says the area of the rectangle is 58 square units and solve for x. So my equation, area is going to be width times length, however you want to think about that. When I simplify that, I'm going to get 4x plus 48 equals 58. I'm going to subtract 48 from both sides. I'll just pull it in here. 4x equals 10 divided by 4, and x equals 2.5, or 2.5. And in this case, I'm just solving for that. Then I could find my length here. I could put that back in there. So 2.5 plus 12. So that's going to give me 14.5 as my length, because the next thing it wants me to do is find the perimeter. So 2 times 4 plus 2 times 14.5. So I get 8 plus 29, which is going to give me 37. And they didn't tell me, it just says units. Doesn't tell me feet or inches. So the rest I'm going to have you do on your own. Let me know if you have any questions.